Opening up the second half, we have a speech from Eva Ivanova. She is an ambitious and determined student at Goldington Academy. Since a young age, has expressed her points on a view of various topics and is always interested in listening to opposing views. She is a consistent member of the school debate team and engaged in public speaking at numerous events. Eva has been active in hosting various Bulgarian speaking events, ensuring that Bulgarian culture and education is well conveyed. Recently, our focus in terms of the world we live in is activism. It's necessary that as a society we become more responsible and aware of the consequences of our own actions. Eva's topic tonight is, in a dehumanised world, think before war.
Good evening. Once upon the start of humanity, people always had the privilege of making the right choice, both for themselves and the world they live in. They were gifted with the ability to think logically and feel emotions while making that decision. Fast forward the 21st century, however, even though going through a few evolutions in biology, speculation and civilization, people haven't learned to use this gift correctly. Some say they took advantage of it. They use it to create wars, not only with themselves, but with nature too. While humans know that one of their greatest inventions, the social media, can be damaging, it continues to grow as a comfort zone for them. High-income countries, the biggest contributors to climate change, continue to build a few little different things that create disproportional and devastating consequences impacting small islands and countries. They also have people called politicians, who by definition must lead a nation and democratically represent the beliefs of people. Yet, we constantly see a discord between this definition and the reality, as we see poor decisions being made, wars being started, and all of this just for personal gain. It doesn't seem like a nice story, does it? If you allow me, I would like to admit something. Perhaps one of my goals today is to make ourselves a bit more guilty about our actions, because this is the way to learn, no? By reflecting on them. To tolerate life's complexity and end the never-ending cycle of irrational thinking is not easy. It takes courage. What's unacceptable is that we repeat the same mistakes we've once committed, or simply just accept them and move on. The first thing I would like to look upon is something we all have on our phones, the social network, specifically with people my age. The AACAP reports that slightly over 90% of the teenagers globally possess a social network. Today, we depend on it, not only of the media we consume, but from the comfort it provides us to escape reality. So much that it has started to shape our identities from a young age. One thing irrational thinking is fed from is social media. Of course, and indeed, it's a tool that helps us gain more information and knowledge about the world around us, and it helps us to raise awareness of what's actually significant. Yet for these past 2 to 3 years, I've noticed something. The media became a propaganda for the youth. Nowadays, the goal for the teenager in 2025 is to become an entrepreneur, to have billions in your pocket and be ambitious of chasing them every day. Since many of us perceive the world as materialistic, we discourage young people to discover and develop their talents. Social media had truly succeeded in making youngsters believe that chasing materialism is the true way of escaping the matrix, while the truth is that this ideology is the matrix itself. And of course, we are scared to develop our talents while thinking we are going to be poor. Every single day, we encourage the so-called influencers to educate teenagers of their own ambitions and dreams, based on materialism. But have we ever thought about why people are so vulnerable enough to believe this is right? Is it because they're tempted into believing that this is right? Or is this wish simply driven by the fear of pursuing their dreams further while pursuing their true passions that won't pay them as much? We've allowed ourselves to create a world that puts materialism on pedestal, we're making it harder for those who are brave enough to pursue their own true interests. This is just one way of conveying the true and dangerous nature of rational thinking. It just starts small. And since diluted thinking promotes frequent search for comfort and fulfilling our own wishes without considering the wider picture, let's look at another perspective. We are all aware of this one. It is perhaps a bit more important as it involves you, me, and every person you can think of that lives on this earth. The most advertised one, and the one I believe everybody knows of, yet not everyone had taken it seriously: global warming. I was about to say, what can we say about it? But let's be honest, what have we not said about it already? Yale Climate Connection state that global warming causes irreversible climate change. That isn't just the next shocking fact we perceive as information. It's the biodiversity that will be affected. It is the sea level risings that damage beautiful islands such as Tuvalu, forcing people away from their homes to migrate away. It is places like Cape Town where water usage has time limit. And yet, when we go back at our homes, we will actually just enjoy water with no limit and not even think about it. It is the coral reefs that die every single year, and even though they're considered a keystone species for the marine life. The largest coral bleaching event on record is currently affecting 84% of the world's reefs in the US, the Caribbean, and Australia. It is the fires that destroy forests and endanger animals of all kinds. It's about the floods. It's about the unearthly temperatures that damage agriculture around the world and force farmers to close down their local businesses which produce pure food. It's about all those numerous things that we see as problems, but we don't do anything about them. Yet, the IPCC reports that 3.6 billion people, nearly half of the global population, live in countries highly vulnerable to climate change. Ironically, those who have contributed least to it are the most affected, especially in low-income countries or developing regions. According to Climate Promise, less than 10 to 15% of the global population could be considered relatively unaffected for now. That number is shrinking as climate change impacts intensify. It was not Mother Nature that just thought she should annoy us with a little bit of heat every summer, adding 1.5 degree to temperatures just because. I want you to know that we all did this, and we have still done nothing. And why is this? Because we are so comfortable. Big economies produce big amounts of emissions. Factories, vehicles, waste, and carbon footprint, all sources that contribute. We know there is a problem, but choose to take no accountability for it and demonstrate a passive bystander behavior. There isn't a way out, unless we act in unity. And when it comes to unity, it starts from a simple factor: respect. Mutual, international, uncompromisable respect for one another despite our differences. Today, I don't think we have achieved that. Yes, compare our society with one from the 1950s. There will be a clear difference. But I don't see global unity when in 2025 there are several wars going on at the same time. I don't see unity when we start wars to hopefully achieve peace. I don't see unity when we let people starve due to horrific experiences while we waste 2.5 billion tons of food every single year. Another example of this is what happened recently in the Gaza Strip. 12th of July 2025, when 10 children alongside with their mothers were killed just simply because they were queuing up for aid and food. We justify this with the principle of politics that don't even exist today. And if politicians, as I said, are there to represent the population of the nation and democratically represent their beliefs, but still have the audacity to ignore them and do whatever pleases them, well, excuse me, but I don't want to live in the world which is ruled by so-called politicians or people that are unable to simply think before they commit crimes. And as Angelina Jolie once said, I hate to think that out there in the world there is a girl or a boy just like myself, with the same ambitions, same abilities, that will most likely achieve better grades than me, and write better speeches, and most likely present them better than me. But at this very moment, they are actually fighting for their lives instead of their dreams. We are introduced to these problems, but do we really think of them? We don't. We are far too comfortable as we bear the fact that right at this moment, people suffer while hope for someone to help them like ourselves. But we just sit at home and complain. And if we draw the conclusion, irrational thinking had made us lose touch with humanity, and it's a fact. In my country, most people like to sit in front of screens, either TV or their phones, see all that is happening in the news, and just sit and complain at the dinner table by saying, oh, well, what can we do? We can't do anything. We don't have the power, the money, so there is no point. Then I came here to England, and I saw the same thing, as the country is diverse, and I met a lot of people. And I saw and I realized that this is a universal problem. We must understand that we are ordinary people. We don't tend to make insane money and start unnecessary wars for fun, and neither do we have the power as some individuals out there. Therefore, we discourage ourselves not to act. But I tell you that being simply human holds more power than materialism could ever be equivalent to. I encourage you to think before you engage in all aspects of life that concerns you and the world that you live in. Regularly give to charity. Walk instead of using your car. Think before you see the next reel on your phone. In a public space, pick up the litter and put it in the bin. Believe me, by doing all of this, you become an inspiration to others and give them courage that is needed today. So, are humans complacent? Inconsiderate of themselves and the world they live in? Maybe. But they can be empathetic, intellectual, and understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, today I said I wanted to wake the guilt in ourselves. I genuinely hope I did that. And always remember, keep that guilt and act. Remember, we're so intoxicated by comfort that we don't even realize it. It is time to sober up, think rationally, and take matters into our own hands. Thank you.
I think the biggest compliment I can give the four speakers so far is I feel very challenged. Whether it's my opinions, my thoughts, I will be going away tonight challenged on what I've thought before and how I move forward. So fantastic, really well done.